Hi, my name is Stephen, and I'm going to walk you through my analysis of the patient dataset. So first, I'm going to show you my categorical data I added. I added patient ID, BMI category, vitamin D status, age group, patient gender, disease status, CAD, and diabetes. These are pretty easy. This was just a count. You can see this is just if statements, checks if it's less than 18.5. If it is underweight, if it's less than 25, it's normal, less than 30, it's overweight, or if it's greater than that, it's obese. It kind of follows the same idea for vitamin D, for age group. It checks if gender is 0, it's male, if it's 1, it's female. Same kind of thing for has disease, no disease. For CAD, same kind of thing again. And in diabetes, if it checks if diabetes is 1, has diabetes. If it's 0, there's no diabetes. So they're my categorical columns. So next I'm going to show you my frequency distributions. So you can see here that the gender frequency distribution, so 162 are males, 157 are females. It's kind of a balanced data set, as 50.8% are males and 49.2% are females. So it's almost a 50-50 split. For the diseased frequency distribution, you see 161 with no disease, 158 with disease. It's also kind of very balanced. You see 50%, 49%, which is shown pretty clearly on these charts that I've added for each of them. For the coronary artery disease frequency distribution, you can see that CAD is actually a pretty rare disease. Only 12 of the patients actually have this disease, which makes up for about 3.8%. So the histogram that I've added clearly shows the differences between those that do those that do have it and those that don't have it. And for the gender of the patients that have CAD, 9 of them are male and 3 of them are female, which would suggest that CAD is much more common in males. So next I'm going to show you is my correlations. I have 6 correlations and relationships that I think are important. So the first one is age and glucose. So this is a very weak positive correlation, 0.1485, and the R value is 0.0221, meaning age explains for only really about 2% of the glucose variation. So as glucose slightly increases with age, but it's very weak. So the second one I'm going to talk about is age and total cholesterol. You can see that it's also another weak correlation at about 0.159. The R value is about 0.025, so it would suggest that it only accounts for about 2.5% of cholesterol variation. So as cholesterol rises, it only rises a little bit with age. So as you can see on the scatter plot and the trend line, it's a small increase. For the third relationship, it's going to be BMI and glucose. So I expected the patients to be obese, to have a much higher glucose, but the correlation was just too weak. It was only 0.125. And if I go to my chart, it only explains for about 1.6% of glucose variation. So I would suggest that BMI is not a strong predictor for glucose. So the fourth relationship is total cholesterol and glucose. So this is a very weak relationship, 0.08. So if I look at my chart, wrong one, up to the top, it is 0.0069, meaning that glucose explains only about less than 1% of cholesterol variation. And as you can see by the trend line, it's almost flat. So glucose and cholesterol don't really go hand in hand together in this data set. For the fifth relationship, it is BMI and total cholesterol. So this relationship is basically non-existent. You can see it's 0.0045, and the trend line, if I show you my chart, is pretty much flat. It kind of shows that BMIs do not influence cholesterol levels at all in this data set. Like, just by looking at the scatter plot, it doesn't have any influence whatsoever. For my last relationship, it is age and vitamin D. You can see it's also very weak with 0.057. So if I go to my scatter plot, there is a slight increase in vitamin D with age, but it's not very meaningful at all. So I would suggest that vitamin D is not it does not rely on age at all. So if I go and show you my pivot tables for each question. So here we go, the first one. So you can see that for females it's a higher level of disease than in males. But for males they have a higher prevalence of CAD than females, and the same as well for diabetes. So this supports the medical research that I was looking at, which would suggest that males have a higher burden of metabolic risks and diseases in comparison to females. And here is just risk factors by gender as well that I have, and I'll show you my charts. As you can see that females have increased disease over males, but if I scroll over to the CAD area, you can see that males have more CAD than females, as well as diabetes. This is my risk factor chart that I've had. So for question 2, pivot tables, you can see that the level of vitamin D is much lower in the has disease group in comparison to patients that don't have disease. You can see that as well for male and females. It's reduced in comparison to levels that a patient would have if they didn't have disease. And you can also see that for the patients that are diseased or that are deficient in vitamin D, you can see that there's 96 that have a disease. So this would support the clinical research that I was looking at, which suggested that vitamin D deficiency was related to poorer health for people. So yeah, and there are my charts that I've added to show this. I'll go to question 3. So these are age group related pivot tables. So you can see the risk factors by age group. It's kind of clear to see the trend that as age increases, so do the risk factors. So you can see BMI increases, you can see glucose increases, as well as cholesterol and vitamin D. Yeah, that's another one here. So disease and no disease between the different age groups, but it's almost similar between each age group, which is represented here. So you can see for the patients that have CAD, there was no recorded cases for patients less than 40, but as you reach the 40 and 50 to 59 age groups, that's where it starts to peak. And I'll just scroll down to the last one as well. For diabetes, you can see as age increases, the prevalence of diabetes starts to increase as well, with the highest being in the 50 to 59 age group and the 60 plus age group. So I'll just show you I have a little demo dashboard that I added here just to help me create the one for Power BI and just kind of see the idea I was going with. I also have wireframes in my document that you'll see. So this is my my dashboard. You can see that I have 6 different charts here and my KPIs at the top. So I have 319 total patients, 49.5 are the patients with disease, 13.5% of the patients with diabetes, and patients with CAD is at 3.8%. Have my slicers on the side. So this chart is CAD by gender. Then we have disease status by gender, average vitamin D by disease status and gender, vitamin D status in patients, diabetes by gender, diabetes by age group. So you can see there's just normal stacked column charts. I have a donut chart added here as well. So if I use my slicers, I just say for the males, you can see it changes. I can do different age groups. We get rid of do females, has disease, let me say deficient, you can see it rises. So that's my first dashboard. My second dashboard has a waterfall chart, donut chart, ribbon chart, file and plot, another ribbon chart and a line chart. So this is disease status by age group, vitamin D status, vitamin D by disease status, sorry, diabetes cases by age group, and we got diabetes by age group. We got average BMI by age group and risk factors by age group. So I'll just show you again with my slicer. I'll do insufficient. You can see they change. I'll do different. We'll do male. Change again. I'll do 40 to 49. And we'll do 50 to 59 as well. But yeah, you can see the way they all change as I use the slicer to put in different inputs, and different data is different data is then selected. So yeah, that is my my dashboards. So yeah, thank you.